The Turquoize at the Hyatt Ziva Cancun is the adults-only section of the Hyatt Ziva located in the hotel zone in Cancun, and it's ranked one of the best adults-only all-inclusive resorts in the area. And I just got back from there, so of course I'm going to bring you the honest review, give you everything you need to know before booking. And I want to shout out Travelingos, which is the travel agency that put this entire trip together for me. It was amazing working with them, and they really do have access to the best pricing around for this resort. So in the description, I will put their information along with a link to book. So let's get right into it, starting with getting there from the Cancun airport. So it's about a 30-minute ride depending on traffic. And I always try to arrive on a Sunday morning in Cancun because the airport's a little bit quieter and there is less traffic that you have to fight on the roads. Now, you always want to arrange transportation ahead of time from the Cancun airport to the resort. And actually, Travelingos took care of all of this for me, which was another perk of working with them. They made it really easy, and the transportation company contacted me ahead of time and told me exactly where to go and what to look for when I came out of the airport. And I do several videos about the Cancun airport, so make sure you check those out so you can avoid some of the mistakes I've made when navigating the Cancun airport. And in fact, this trip, I landed in a new terminal, Terminal 4, so I will be uploading an entire video about navigating that terminal soon. Now, one of the main appeals of this resort, and one of the reasons why I wanted to try it, is its location. So it is in the heart of the hotel zone, but it's in this very unique area where it's kind of this corner, and it has some of the most beautiful beaches that I've ever seen, which I will be showing you later in this video. I was immediately impressed with this resort from the start, and honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect because it was mostly a family resort. It's a larger resort, it's a Hyatt, so I wasn't sure really how attentive they could be in the check-in process. But I'm giving the check-in a 10 out of 10. Again, I was staying in the Turquoize Tower, which is the adults-only section of this resort. So they have a completely separate check-in area, which is apart from the main check-in area. So they send a greeter to take you to the tower, but on the way, they give you this little mini tour of the resort, which I really appreciated and was impressed with, because lots of times at resorts, they just fold open a resort map, point to some restaurants and areas to hit, and then you're on your own. I'm not gonna lie, I did think this was going to lead into a timeshare presentation, but it didn't. She took us right into the Turquoise Tower, and we did not have to wait long at all to start the check-in process. I think the entire process was about 15 or 20 minutes. Mine was probably longer just because I inquired about an upgrade to the swim-up suite for my final night, which I did end up doing, and we'll talk about more later. And they do take a hefty $600 deposit on your credit card. A lot of resorts are doing that now, so be prepared for that. And they go through this very thorough checklist of all of the fines you can get if you break the rules, which I haven't seen yet at any resort. And during check-in, I saw some of my subscribers in person, which really makes this so much fun, seeing how my videos are helping others. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so. 3 days and 3 noches, I bring you honest resort reviews, travel tips, and information about the destinations that I go to, and show you can have an amazing vacation in a really short amount of time. I got to the resort a little later than I usually do because my flight was delayed, but that meant my room was ready right when I checked in, which is a positive. So let's go to the rooms next. In this video, I'm just gonna highlight the features of the room because I stayed in 2 different rooms. So in other videos, I will do a full walkthrough of both the rooms that I stayed in. Now, by staying in the Turquoise Tower, you get a butler included in your stay. Mine were Archangel and Americas, and they meet you right in the check-in area and escort you directly to your room. I have to give the rooms a 9, even a 10 out of 10, because it has all of the features that I love about a resort room. And starting with the best part is if you stay in the Turquoise Tower, all of the rooms have a jacuzzi on the balcony and an amazing ocean view. So just the view alone, I could not get over. So the bathrooms had everything and more that I love in a resort bathroom. One thing I've never seen that this resort had was double sinks, but they were on complete opposite sides of the bathroom. So you have your own separate space, which I really like. They had a ton of counter space. And then they did have drawers and closets in the bathroom as well. It has the separate room with a toilet in it, a huge rainfall shower, and the toiletries, even a dental kit. And the bathroom area was completely separate from the bedroom and living area. Sometimes resorts now have this open concept between the bathroom and bedroom, which I do not like. So I was really happy that these were separated. In the bedroom area, for my TV watchers, it has a nice large TV right in front of the bed. It has quite a few channels. I didn't scroll through it too much, but I know some people like to have that option to fall asleep or wake up to TV. They also have a nice sitting area and a table where you could have your room service. All of the rooms also have one of these iPads that has all of the information that you need to know about the hotel, the entertainment schedule. You can also order room service. Surprisingly, they do not have an app at this resort, which I kind of missed, but the butler will send you the link to the same information that you can look it up on your phone as well. And then of course they have the mini fridge. Another perk of staying in the Turquoise Tower and having that butler is he will stock your mini fridge with whatever you like. So I usually only drink the seltzer water in the water, and that's what he brought for the mini fridge. And there's also the option to have a full-size bottle of liquor. I think it's Jose Cuervo tequila, Sky vodka, and wine. So this was the mini fridge in my swim up suite. So I wanted to show you some of the original items, including a hard seltzer called Palmar. And I've never seen that at a resort. Also had Amstel Light, Dos Equis, of course, sodas. And then there's an espresso machine, and they have snacks, again, that are restocked daily. And even though this is an established resort and showing some wear and tear around the resort and in the rooms were really, really clean. And I think they probably have done an update recently because you couldn't really notice it too much. And even the jacuzzi tub on the balcony was really clean. Now, one thing the butler will do is they will come fill up the tub for you, fill it with rose petals if you're celebrating any kind of special occasion, which I thought was a really nice touch. Now for the last night, I upgraded to the swim up suite because I wanted to do a comparison of the two rooms, and I'm so glad that I did because I actually really preferred just the regular oceanfront room versus the swim up suite. First, I liked its location better. It was on the 9th floor, and when you're walking through the hallways, you have views of the resort and of the ocean versus the swim up suite. I was on floor number 2, and there are no open windows. You really don't have any views as you're walking through the hallways. And then the other issue was there's more of a lack of privacy because you're kind of on the top of each other out there in the swim up suites. I will do a full comparison, a full tour of both rooms in separate videos that I will link when they are done in the description below. Now on to the beach, and if you follow me, you know that this is my #1 priority when I am picking a resort, and all I can say is wow. The color of the water there is insane. It actually reminded me of El Cielo in Cozumel. And it's definitely one of the biggest appeals for this resort. Not only for the color of the water, but the fact that it's so calm. Even though I was staying in the adults only tower, this really is a family resort. So it attracts a lot of families, and it's perfect, especially if you have younger kids. So you don't have to be stressed out with the waves and the rough surf. And it's almost like a swimming pool. There's actually 2 different beaches on opposite sides at this resort. So let's start with the one that's near the main pool, and this is their private beach. So on this side, this is where they have Habaneros, which is their beachfront grill, and also the non-motorized water sports, which I'll talk about in the activities section. And you can also rent cabanas. Now, one of the downsides, I would say, with the beach experience was the seating. So they did have nice seating right there in front of the beach, but there wasn't enough with shade. So they do push the cabanas pretty hard at this resort, and I feel that's why there's kind of this lack of seating, because if there's not enough seating, then you're going to rent a cabana. And they're not outrageous. They started $175 for the day, but it was definitely a downside for me. But the other nice thing is that the pools are right there, which I'll talk about next. And so you could get seating at the pool and then just walk back and forth really easily. Now, I actually preferred the beach on the other side. I thought the water was more clear and more blue, and it's just bigger, even though it is a longer walk from the pools and from the chairs to the beach. However, this side is open to the public. So we did see people setting up tents. There was military going back and forth, so some people may not like that. Again, you can also rent cabanas if you wanted to spend the day in the cabana. So this actually reminds me a little bit of Cozumel, the color of the water. To die for. You can see the fish in the water, and you can still stand, and look how far out I am. I'm all the way out. So this is to die for. The beach experience was basically then a 10 out of 10 for me, despite the fact that there was a little bit of lack of seating. Now, the one thing I need to mention was since I was staying in the adults only section, there is not an adults only section at the beach. However, the other side that I preferred was definitely quieter. Not as many people are bringing their younger kids over there because it's a longer walk. So you can definitely get some quiet there. You could also rent a cabana. And both sides have beach service, so you could get drinks served right to your chair. And I love that they had activities. So one side they had the volleyball, the other side they had aerobics and games and the non-motorized water sports. Stick with me. If you follow me, you know I give very detailed reviews. So let's move on to the pools. Now, from the perspective of an adult only experience, I'm going to give the pools a 9 out of 10, but I'm going to do a separate video on the Hyatt Ziva from a family perspective, because from that perspective, the pools get a 10 out of 10. So they do have an adults only rooftop infinity pool with insane views. The bar was amazing as well, and they have specialty liquor here. So I would come here for drinks sometimes just because they made the best drinks. And it had its own little grill, so it changed every single day. One day was sushi, Mexican, they had barbecue, burgers. So if you really wanted that adults only experience, not interact with families or kids, you really could up here at the rooftop pool. And I also love that they had a security guard there, making sure that you're staying at the hotel, but also that you're an adult. Sometimes these resorts that have the mixed layout of families and adults, they still let children in the adults only section. For me, the downside, it was a little boring. So this is for people that really just want to relax. I did hear on Thursdays, they have a foam party up there. I wasn't there on Thursday. And of course, it's the rooftop, so it's super hot. And they did lack seating with more shade, and the ones with shade went very early in the morning. People would come up and save seats. With that being said, you do have access to the resort's 2 other huge main pools. If you didn't mind being around the families and kids, they have more activities, more seating, games, and just a little bit more action. And again, I'll go into more detail about the pools in my other review that I'm going to do for the family side of the Hyatt Ziva. Now it's time for some food and drinks. And if you are new to my channel, you should know that I am not a foodie. So if you came here for some in-depth food reviews, I'm not going to give you that. But I do a pretty comprehensive review on the food. And what I have found over the years of doing these reviews is that food is very subjective. So what I think is good, you may not think is good. So I always find it very hard to review the food. But what this resort gets a 10 out of 10 when it comes to food is the variety and the options. I felt like wherever I turned at every corner, there was either a kiosk, a food truck, an outdoor buffet, or an open restaurant. Now, I think in terms of quality, this resort aligns with a lot of the other premier/luxury resorts that I've been to, where the food during the day, like the breakfast and the lunches, are about an 8 out of 10, but at night, the sit-down dinners aren't as good, maybe a 7 out of 10. But in this video, I'm gonna talk specifically about the adults-only options, and then in the other video review for the Hyatt Ziva and the family section, I'll get into a little bit more detail about the other restaurants. There are only 2 adults-only restaurants at this resort. So one is for breakfast at Lorenzo's, which of course I went to one morning, and I absolutely loved it because it is super quiet. So if you're looking for just a really quiet breakfast experience, this would be great. It's also nicely air conditioned because I was there in August, and it has more of a healthier menu. I had the avocado toast with an egg and a fruit platter. If you follow me, you know I tend to be a healthy eater, so it was right up my alley. They don't really have waffles or pancakes or anything like that. They do have a little small buffet there. This would be more just for the quiet experience. If you do not want to be with the kids and the families at the buffet, you could come here and have a nice quiet breakfast. Now, you could also order room service if you didn't want to be downstairs with the families and the kids, which I did one morning, and it was really good. You order it on the iPad. You can even order ahead of time with your butler to be delivered at a certain time the next morning. And I just loved being in the room with that beautiful view, having breakfast. For a truly adult-only lunch, your options again are either room service or, like I spoke of earlier, the grill at the rooftop pool. And for dinner, they pride themselves on the adults-only experience at their French restaurant called La Bastille, which I did go to one night, and I had a fantastic experience. I usually do not like the French restaurants at all-inclusive resorts, but I really liked this experience and what I ordered. We had the lamb and the stuffed chicken, and both were really good. Of course, the portions are going to always be a lot smaller, but you can order as much as you want. But beyond the adults only options, you have access to every single restaurant and bar at this resort, which is 18 in total. And of course, I could never get to them all since I was only there for 3 days and 3 noches, but I will highlight a few of my experiences. I won't go into too much detail in this video. I'll save it for the other video about the family side of the Hyatt Ziva. And of course, the first place I tried was Habanero, since it was their beachfront bar and grill, which I always look for in a resort. And I thought the food was just kind of average. I had the shrimp tacos, but again, I'm not a huge seafood person. Some other people said the same, but I thought it was really cool just having that beachfront experience. I always look forward to the Italian restaurant experience, and people make fun of me for it, and they should, because I live in New Jersey and then go to Mexico and want to go to an Italian restaurant and expect a good experience, and usually I'm disappointed. And I was also disappointed with Lorenzo's food. The service was great, the ambiance was great, but I had gotten some pasta, which really wasn't cooked that great, and the pizza was just okay. What I absolutely loved about this resort was that it had a buffet open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, I know most of you probably come to these resorts and you want that sit-down experience at night. I really do not. I'm usually not there, for a couple's experience. I'm filming the resort, so I realize it might not be the best review of the food, but I did love that option because I could go serve myself and eat and then get on with the other activities that I needed to. And I was really impressed with all the different options at the buffet, especially the breakfast buffet. They just had so many different options. Now, in the morning, if you don't get there early, sometimes you do have to wait 10 or 15 minutes to get a table, but overall, it wasn't too bad. Lunch and dinner, we were usually able to get in right away, and they have several made to order options, salad options, really literally anything that you could think of. Now, the only restaurant that you need an absolute reservation for is the Hibachi restaurant. So if that's something that you want to experience, make sure you do that. I didn't get there, but our friends Vanessa and Josh did, and they said it was actually a really good experience.
3 days, 3 noches.
Now let's talk drinks and cocktails. I'm definitely going to give them a 10 out of 10. They do such an amazing job on so many different levels. Number one, if you are staying at the Turquoise Tower, like I mentioned, you have access to that rooftop pool bar. This is where they have the best selection of premium liquor. In fact, I would just go up there sometimes to get a drink because I felt like they made the best drinks. But at all the bars, they're using fresh juices, they're garnishing with fresh fruit, and the bartenders are very knowledgeable. Now, this is a perspective from someone that just sticks with vodka and tequila. So I don't drink whiskey or rum, and so I really can't speak to that, but it looked like they had a very good selection. And also just with the mixed drinks and the frozen drinks, they could make almost everything and anything. And if you are a beer drinker, I was very impressed. They have their own brewery right on site inside the sports bar. So they brew their own beer, but they also have a really large selection of different beers and craft beers, probably the largest I've ever seen at any resort. The sports bar was also a great place to get a little relief from the sun. They had pool tables, so if you were looking for a place to hang out during the day or at night and maybe watch some sports, this was a great place. And just like the food, I felt like wherever you turned, there was a bar. Now, my favorite again was the rooftop pool bar, also the bar at the French restaurant. Both are adults only. I felt like they had the best mixology, but all of the bars were great, and they have 7 total lounges and bars. Almost done. I still want to talk about the activities and the service. So real quick, the activities, I have to give them another 10 out of 10. I've never seen a resort that has so many activities from morning until even after midnight. And again, since this video is really focused on the adults only experience, I'm going to talk about the options for adults only activities. So let's go back to that rooftop pool. And I did mention this earlier, on Thursdays, they do have a foam party. Sadly, I missed it. But other than that, there's not too many activities that happen at the rooftop pool. And like I mentioned earlier, they have that sports bar where you could play pool, watch sports, and just hang out. They even had things like a tequila tasting, again, included in your stay. Do not have to pay extra. These were some of our friends that we met from Chicago, enjoying a really fun afternoon, trying a bunch of different tequilas. And they list all of the activities on that iPad that I mentioned that's in your room, or through the link that the butler gives you if you want to pull it up on your phone. And they have a pretty decent fitness center that offers 2 to 4 fitness classes per day. I think that's the most of any resort that I've seen. And again, it's all included in your stay. And they had a club that was open almost every single night. I think it's open every night. We got there on a Sunday night and there were 2 weddings, so it was really packed. The other 2 nights, it was pretty quiet. But again, you have that option. And they have a spa, which of course is not included in your stay. And usually I don't take advantage of the spa because the prices are too outrageous, but they had some amazing deals at this resort. So I took advantage of one. It was reflexology and hydrotherapy for only $100. And the reflexology massage was one of the best I ever had. So much so that I wanted to come back the next day. I just didn't have the time. And like other resorts, they do have adults only experiences like a romantic dinner on the beach that you could pay extra for. But you also get access to the entire resort activities, and there are a ton, which I will review more in the other video. But they have non-motorized water sports, and I was also really impressed with the entire separate dolphin pool that they have. So you could actually go swim with the dolphins right there at the resort. And finally, wrapping up this review, what about the service at this resort? And again, I have to give it very high ratings, a 9, even a 10 out of 10. Having that butler in the Turquoise Tower really took the service to a high level. Basically from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., you could WhatsApp your butler with whatever you needed. One time, Americus brought us cappuccino. Archangel brought us a bunch of things that I asked for, including towels and fresh juice. And they also touch base with you daily and give you the daily activity list. Another nice touch that they offer, which I've never seen in another resort, is that they come around and offer to spray you down with aloe, which is a great treatment for sunburn. And here our friends agreed to allow us to film this, but I just thought that was a really cool touch. I felt like everyone we came in contact with, including the housekeepers, the servers, the bartenders, the concierge, even the activity staff, were so welcoming and very happy to be there. It felt very genuine. This is a good time to remind you to bring a lot of singles with you so you can tip the staff and show your appreciation. I actually do several videos about how to tip your butler and just general tipping at an all-inclusive resort. And even though it is all-inclusive, the staff usually doesn't make a really high wage and they do rely on tips. So it doesn't have to be a lot. Even $1 goes a long way. So the big question is, would I return to this resort? And the answer is obviously yes. The pros for me, number one was the beach, which is a priority for me. It is one of the most beautiful beaches and the color of water that I've ever seen of any resort that I've been to in the Cancun area. And even though I don't spend a lot of time at the pools were a huge plus for me. I love the layout, the fact that they had 2 large pools on the opposite sides of the building, so you could really spread out. There were plenty of chairs. And then they had that option for the adults only pool on the rooftop. And actually, one of my favorite things about this resort that I haven't talked about yet is the layout. I loved how walkable it was. Everything was very easy to find. I knew my way around the resort in less than a day. And just the views from almost every place in this resort, whether you're walking through the hallways or even when you first walk in at check-in, you just see that beautiful blue ocean. And for me, I'm a very visual person, so that really does make a difference. They even had a little area over to the side where you could watch the sunset. And having that butler service in the Turquoise Tower really did make the stay extra special, just having that extra level of attention. And of course, every resort has its downsides as well. And I think even though I loved being in that Turquoise Tower, this resort is not truly adults only. Again, it did not bother me at all, but if you are looking for a true couples retreat, maybe a honeymoon, anniversary, whatever it may be, it might not be the right resort for you. While they have adults only sections and adults only experiences, it would be very difficult to have an adults only experience. Not impossible, but pretty difficult. However, it would be perfect for, let's say, a wedding or a family group event where there's going to be kids and families mixed, but you still want that opportunity to get away from them. And even though the food and dining options were a plus for someone like me who likes the buffet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I realize it might not be a plus for someone like you if you like those nighttime dining options. One, the French restaurant really is your only adults only option, unless you want to pay extra and do the romantic dinner. And 2, the nighttime restaurants, some of the sit-down restaurants have an inconsistent experience when it comes to the quality of food. But honestly, that is what happens at every all-inclusive resort that I've ever been to. Another downside for some people with this resort might be the price tag. It is a little bit pricier than a lot of the resorts in the area, and I'm sure from this review you can see why. And I always say, just by spending another $100, $200 per night, you can get such a better experience. But I get it. I have a family and I know it adds up. So shout out again to Travelingos for sending me here and also having the best pricing. And they have agreed to do that for my subscribers as well. So if you follow the link in the description, it's a special link just for 3 days and 3 noches, and then they can give you a quote on this resort. And of course, I always love hearing your feedback and questions. If you've been here, please add your feedback. If you have questions, drop them in the comment section below. I do respond to all comments and questions. So I know this was a long one, but I do hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please like and subscribe and keep following me at 3 days and 3 noches, where I bring you honest, detailed resort reviews like this one, travel tips and information about the destinations that I go to. And I will be adding more videos about this resort over the next coming weeks, including that review on the family side.